Cloud, what you doing?
Hiya, Mickey. I was just practicing my sword skills. Ha ha!
Wow, you sure swing that sword well.
Thanks, I practice every day.
Can I touch it?
Go ahead.
Oh, wow. It's so long and hard.
That's not the only thing, Mickey.
Oh, Cloud.
Oh, Mickey.
Johnson, what on earth are you doing?
Oh, Mr. Jeffords, hi. I was just working on the new game over here.
Is that Cloud Strife and Mickey Mouse? You want to put them in a game together?
Yes, sir. It'll be an action RPG.
So you want to combine Final Fantasy and Disney?
Yes.
Two series that have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
And you want us to license characters from Disney, a company that is notoriously protective of their IPs.
That was the idea.
Fine. Have the pitch on my desk first thing tomorrow morning.
Oh, we'll do, sir. First thing tomorrow. Okay, I really need to start doing this at home from now on. Then again...
Oh, Mickey.
Oh, Cloud.
Oh, Mickey.
Oh, Cloud.
Hey guys, AMAC50000 here, and for those of you that might not be aware, Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite game series of all time. Yep, the crossover that was never supposed to happen has dug its way into my heart, which is strange, because I've never been a fan of either franchise, really. Don't get me wrong, I've watched and enjoyed many Disney movies, but I've never really been obsessed with any of them. And as for Final Fantasy, well, the only game I've really ever managed to get into is the FF7 remake. When I first played Kingdom Hearts many years ago, I knew very little about Disney, and almost nothing about Final Fantasy. For me, it's not the things that it takes from elsewhere, but rather the elements that are entirely unique to it that makes the series so special. The great gameplay, the interesting worlds, the fantastic characters. Okay, barring a few exceptions on that last one. But I even love the story. Yes, it's a lot to remember, but it's not confusing if you just play the games, and it manages to provide some of my favorite moments in all of gaming. So today, we're going to take a look at where it all began. This is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG that follows the adventures of a boy named Sora as he travels to different Disney worlds in order to save his friends and the universe. The game was originally conceived when a producer from Square Enix named Shinji Hashimoto had a chance encounter with a Disney executive in an elevator. Hashimoto pitched the concept of a Final Fantasy and Disney crossover to the executive, and apparently Disney was interested. Talks soon began between the two companies. During this process, there were a lot of revisions made to the core concept. Originally, Square Enix wanted to use Mickey Mouse as the game's main character, but Disney wanted it to be Donald Duck. However, Tetsuya Nomura, the game's director, disagreed with both of them. He believed that in order for the game to work, it needed a human protagonist. Thus, Sora was born. And he was a chainsaw-wielding furry. Yeah, did I mention this thing went through a lot of revisions? No one had ever done something like this before, and they needed to get it just right. But after a lot of hard work, they finally managed to do just that, and thus, the Kingdom Hearts we know and love was born. Kingdom Hearts begins on the world of Destiny Islands, and yeah, you'll see this naming scheme again, get used to it. On the island are 3 friends: Sora, the upbeat cheery one, Riku, the brooding cool dude, and Kairi, the girl. Place your bets on who gets captured. Sora and his friends are building a raft to set sail for other worlds. However, before they can finish it, their island is attacked by Heartless. Riku gives into the darkness, Kairi turns into a ghost, and just as Sora's about to get wrecked, a weapon known as the Keyblade appears. As the Keyblade's chosen one, Sora begins to fight off the darkness. However, ultimately, Sora isn't strong enough yet, and his world is still lost. So yeah, no one really had a good time. Worst vacation ever. Sora eventually wakes up in Traverse Town, a place full of refugees whose worlds have also been lost to the darkness. Turns out, a lot of worlds been going goth lately, as mysterious beings called the Heartless invade them. Sora's the only one that can protect the worlds by sealing their keyholes and keeping the darkness out. Eventually, Sora meets up with Donald and Goofy, and together, the three of them set off to seal the keyholes and save the universe. Okay, so that plot summary may have sounded like a lot, but it's actually pretty simple and clean. Hero loses friend/world, Hero gets magic weapon, Hero and his new companion set off to save the universe. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some more confusing aspects as you get further into the game, such as this, and especially this. Why is he shirtless? But overall, this game has one of the most straightforward plots in the entire series. It's also the only game in the series that you can fully understand without playing all of the prior entries, since, well, this is the first one. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not really a Disney fanatic, but I can fully understand why those that are love this game. There's a variety of Disney worlds to explore, and characters within them to interact with. There's just a certain charm in exploring the worlds of your favorite movies and befriending your favorite characters before beating the crap out of your least favorite characters. Now, as a kid, I knew next to nothing about any of these films. After all, most of them came out before I was born. This was my first time learning about many of the worlds, and I have to say, what a great introduction. I remember going out and renting all the movies that these worlds were based on. If it weren't for this game, I probably still wouldn't know about titles such as Disney's Hercules and Alice in Wonderland. All the worlds feel just like a 3D version of the films they're based off of. It's a joy going through them the first time, wondering what characters you'll meet, what places from the movie you'll see, and what the boss will be at the end of it. These worlds are crafted with a level of love and care that's inspirational to see. Aesthetically speaking, that is. Design-wise, I'm pretty sure Atlantica is considered a war crime. Some of the worlds feel great to play in and have great gimmicks that make them entirely unique. Others just feel like a maze. Like I'm just trying to get back to the save point. Why do I keep ending up in Chamber 2? Overall, the worlds that work really work, and the ones that don't aren't annoying enough to ruin the experience. But anyway, what are worlds if there aren't things to do on them? And by things, I mean monsters, and by do, I mean stabbed to death. Don't worry, Kingdom Hearts got us covered with the Heartless. These are beings of pure darkness who have either lost their heart or have given into the dark. It's your job to stab, burn, crush, and electrocute them as you race to save the world. There are a lot of Heartless in this game, and each different type is incredibly unique. Some fly, some are impervious to different types of magic, some you can only hit from the side, others steal your money, okay, that last one's a bit annoying. Regardless, the amount of Heartless variations forces you to switch up your strategy. Do you like spamming fire? Well, good luck doing that when the enemies start healing from it. Do you like taking out the big Heartless first, then getting the smaller ones? Well, best of luck doing that when the smaller ones are healing everything. The constant shifting of your strategy keeps the game fresh, and the worlds often feel very different based off of what Heartless is within them. Oh, and that's without even talking about the bosses. Oh yeah, this game has bosses, and they're fantastic! There's so many different types of them, and just like the standard enemies, they'll all have their own strategies to defeat them. Some are big, some are small, some turn invisible, some spit acid, and others have minions that need to be destroyed before they can be directly attacked. Not to mention that many of them are characters taken straight out of Disney and Final Fantasy. You get to fight Cloud, Maleficent, Hercules, Captain Hook, and more. Most of them are a joy to fight, and they really give you something to look forward to at the end of each level. But of course, All this talk about enemies just leads to the obvious question, how's the combat? Kingdom Hearts' combat is your standard hack and slash affair, but with a few key changes. First off, there's the lock-on system. By just hitting R1, you'll immediately lock on to either whatever enemy you're looking at, or if you're not looking at one, whatever enemy happens to be closest by. These locked-on enemies will always stay in your line of sight, and you'll aim all your attacks at them provided you're close enough. This is a godsend. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing a game and die because I'm facing the wrong way when I attack. Or even worse, I need to kill one more enemy to move on, and I can't find it! The lock-on system fixes all of this in a way that is so simple and elegant that using it becomes second nature after a while. There's also a variety of spells at your disposal. These can be used both in combat and for various puzzles around the map. Of course, you have your basic fireball and lightning bolt spells, but there's also a variety of extremely unique ones. You have Arrow, which gives you a wind shield, Gravity, which crushes your foes, and Stop, well, Stop is one of my personal favorites. It freezes your enemies in place for a set time, and when they unfreeze, any damage that you dealt to them is done all at once. It's really fun to watch. But by far, the most unique thing about the game's combat is the command menu. In order to attack, cast spells, or use items during combat, you have to scroll through it and select what you want. Now, when the majority of the public sees this, their reaction goes a little something like the following. Dear God, what have they done? Most people think that scrolling through a menu to select spells and items during a hack-and-slash action game sounds like it'd be a little awkward. And they would be right to a certain extent. However, it's not as bad as you'd think. 95% of the time, you'll be using the attack command, and the menu defaults to it, so you don't have to scroll. Also, the command board is super well organized, and you can get to whatever you want in just a few taps. But in this type of game, those taps can mean the difference between life and death, so using it in combat is a bit of a pain. But have no fear, for that's where the shortcut system comes in. Just slap that L1 button and bam, 3 of your favorite spells at your fingertips. This system makes it super simple to use spells without fiddling around in the menu. And since you'll rarely need a specific spell for a combat situation, once you find the 3 best spells that fit your playstyle, using the shortcut system really becomes second nature. Now, if you were to come up to me in the street and ask me, hey, why do you love the Kingdom Hearts series so much? One of the first things to come out of my mouth would be the combat. 2 and 3 had some of not only the best combat in the series, but also some of the best combat in any games I have ever seen, ever. Potentially, 2 has the very best out of any game I've ever played. I even like the Command X system found in games like Recoded and Birth by Sleep, so compared to all these masterpieces, how does Kingdom Hearts 1's combat stack up? Well, it's definitely clear this was the first title. Don't get me wrong, when you compare it with a lot of other titles of the era, it's good. No, it's even great. But coming back to it after playing the newer games, even the ones that were still on PS2, this one's a little rough. There are a lot of janky parts of the combat system, and there are many ways that can be downright exploited. Certain abilities and summons are too powerful, others are useless. On top of that, this game has some of the slowest combat in the entire series. Things to do while waiting for Sora to block after you press the square button. Check social media. Order your groceries. File your taxes. Read a good book. Watch some YouTube. Leave a comment on this video. Press the like button. Subscribe for more great content. Please God, I need this. I judge my self-worth based off of numbers given to me by strangers. Please God, please God, please God, take your dog for a walk. Again, the combat's not bad, and even compared to a lot of modern games, it still holds up well. It's just that what the series did with the combat in later titles was so fantastic that it's a little hard to go back to this one. You know, looking back on it, that's kind of the theme of this game. The story, characters, movement, level design, and combat were all drastically improved in later titles. But this game gave a solid foundation for the series to build off of, and it did so in a manner that was all its own. It wasn't afraid to innovate or try out weird ideas, and because of that, sure, there were some lumps, but it still has a great amount of charm to it. There are features and worlds here that we would never see again in a core title. If you have any doubts that this game was great, then just look at the results. The game was so popular that it went on to receive a final mixed version that included tons of new content. Keep in mind, this was before DLC, so these types of re-releases weren't common at all, but this game sold well enough and was loved enough to get one. Now, I know I ragged on Kingdom Hearts 1 a bit today, but don't think that means it's not great. On the contrary, it's fantastic. It's one of the best games for the PS2 by far. It's just that, after playing all the more modern Kingdom Hearts games, especially Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, this one's a bit rough to go back to. But that should be seen more as a statement about the high level of quality the series has, rather than a knock against this game. This game is still fantastic. It has a charm to it of all its own, and there's tons of worlds and features that have yet to be brought back to the series. So, before I go, I'm going to leave you with a few more reasons that I absolutely adore this game. Traverse Town looks amazing, and there's so many areas to explore in it. The 100 Acre Woods is a great side story, with lots of fun mini-games and a great ending. You can also really see the Disney inspiration in the enemies. I mean, look at the Heartless. Most of them look like they came right out of a Disney cartoon. Sora and the gang also have more Disney-based designs, as opposed to the Final Fantasy-esque ones they had later in the series. Now, I love both styles, but it's just nice to see the Disney one. The Coliseum battles added tons of extra content and forced you to really master the game's battle system. All the Wonderland rooms have walls and ceilings, making you feel like the whole world is in one giant dollhouse, which is so much fun! There are so many secret bosses, and each one of them has their own unique way to beat them. Flying in Netherland was so cool, and wait, oh my god, am I fighting the devil with pixie dust? This game is awesome! Overall, Kingdom Hearts was and is a fantastic game, but with a few bumps mixed in. If you can see past its flaws, though, you're in for a great time. After all, it's what got me turned on to the series, and I'm still a fan of it all these years later. The game has a charm of it that has yet to be replicated, so if you haven't played it yet, I would definitely recommend checking it out. And hey, once you finish this game, you get to play its sequel. A true and absolute masterpiece that is not only the best game in the series, but one of the best games ever made. That's right, I'm talking about Kingdom Hearts 2. Dang it, that's the third time this week. Time to go cast Thundaga on my circuit breaker. Video game references.